Episode 4 of Dan to Dan begins with Momo and Ocarin entering Turbo Granny's tunnel. Ocarin reminds Momo that they must lure Turbo Granny outside Shono City to separate her from the location-bound spirit. Momo spots a giant version of Turbo Granny blocking one of the tunnels. Ocarin screams and Momo turns around. Momo spots another Turbo Granny blocking that pathway. The Turbo Granny variants get closer to our heroes. Ocarin transforms into his depressed Turbo Granny form. However, Ocarin changes back. Turbo Granny tells Ocarin he reverted to his human state because she gave Ocarin his banana back. Before Turbo Granny devours Momo and Ocarin, Momo taunts Turbo Granny and challenges her to a running match. Turbo Granny reverts to her normal form and accepts Momo's challenge. Momo tells Turbo Granny they'll play tag. If Turbo Granny can catch Momo and Ocarin, she'll win the game. Momo asks Turbo Granny to count to 10. Meanwhile, Momo and Ocarin run away. Turbo Granny sends an army of undead hands after the two. Her hand army captures Momo. Ocarin begs Turbo Granny to release Momo. Turbo Granny stops counting and tries to capture Ocarin next. Ocarin leaps toward Turbo Granny and bites one of her breasts. Since Ocarin won't let go and because he's wearing a specific garment, Turbo Granny possesses him. Once possessed, Turbo Granny removes Ocarin's attire. Momo uses her psychic powers to torture Turbo Granny. Turbo Granny tries retaliating, but Momo squeezes her aura enough to allow Ocarin to regain control of his body. Turbo Granny transforms into a small snake-like creature. The location-bound spirit appears. It's taking the form of a giant crab. Turbo Granny asks the spirit to stop Momo and Ocarin. Momo and Ocarin run across a highway. The spirit chases them. Ocarin transforms into his depressed Turbo Granny form and Momo hops on his back. Ocarin runs while Momo grabs hold of Turbo Granny. Ocarin hops off the highway. He and Momo land in the city. They continue fleeing from the spirit. Momo and Ocarin lead the spirit to a hot spring to weaken it. After Momo boils the spirit, she and Ocarin depart. Some time passes. They're almost out of Shono City. Momo and Ocarin notice a few zombie people nearby. The zombies chase them, so Momo and Ocarin turn around and flee. Turbo Granny tells them she asked the spirits at Shono City's cemetery for help. Turbo Granny tells Momo and Ocarin that she and her allies won't let them escape. The location-bound spirit returns and is behind the zombie spirit army. Momo asks Ocarin to go full throttle one more time. Turbo Granny warns Ocarin. She says Ocarin will become immobile if he goes full throttle one more time. Momo hops on Ocarin's back and he goes full throttle. While the two flee from the spirits, Momo uses her psychic powers to latch onto objects. Momo and Ocarin land near a railway. She realizes she let go of Turbo Granny. Turbo Granny attacks the two. The location-bound spirit and zombie spirits arrive. Turbo Granny isn't happy that Momo and Ocarin cheated during their tag game. Momo acknowledges Turbo Granny's skills and Turbo Granny merges with the location-bound spirit. Turbo Granny tells Momo she'll let Momo and Ocarin flee from her before she devours them. Momo says it'll only take her 1 second to run. She grabs Ocarin and uses her powers to land on a train. Turbo Granny lands on the train. Momo tells Turbo Granny she wanted Turbo Granny to do that. The train is heading for Kamigo City. Seiko's standing at the edge of a specific track. She put more talismans on one of the railway's gates. Meanwhile, Momo uses her psychic powers to hold Turbo Granny back. The three pass the talisman's location and Turbo Granny disappears. Later, Ocarin, Seiko, and Momo visit a specific area by the tunnel. Seiko tells Momo this is where many girls perished. She argues they didn't become evil spirits out of choice. Moreover, Seiko says she and other spirit mediums hunted Turbo Granny down for a long time. She argues Turbo Granny loved appearing in places where female spirits died irrationally. Seiko predicts Turbo Granny liked consoling these spirits because they couldn't rest peacefully. Seiko, Momo, and Ocarina head to Momo and Seiko's home to eat crab. After that, Ocarina and Momo chat outside. The episode ends with Momo telling Ocarina she'll see him tomorrow. Momo, Ocarina, and Seiko potentially defeated Turbo Granny this week. Many fans will enjoy seeing Momo and Ocarina utilize their skills to outwit Turbo Granny and her forces. From Momo's Spider-Man-like spirit-swinging tactics to Ocarina's swift speed, seeing our heroes work side by side was breathtaking. Additionally, the visuals and animation were on point. Some scenarios were animated with care. The anime original material included in this one was a nice touch and elevated the drama. The way Momo and Ocarina executed their plans could have been explained better though. While the spectacles are phenomenal, some would have preferred if the episode slowed down at certain points. Nonetheless, the episode also provided great lore on Turbo Granny's activities at the tunnel. Seeing her counsel the female spirits who couldn't pass on was an eye-opener. It shows fans that Turbo Granny may have a caring side. Hopefully, this won't be the last time we see this speedy grandma. But all in all, this was a great episode.